So the kids were wilding out more than adults, huh? You said like just because of the gangs and stuff?
Yeah, it was something about it, man. Those kids they weren't normal. They were like inhuman.
Wow.
Like you would see them and the things that they would get pulled in for, it was crazy. I was like, these can't be kids. Like these are some children of the corn people or something like that. These some weird kids. But there was one incident where mom and dad were no longer together. Kid was in custody. Court date was going. So mom brought her 10, 15 people. Dad brought his 10, 15 people, all family members, right? They all came. And they're arguing outside, and they're all, it's your fault he's in jail. It's your fault. It's your fault. And dad went like that kind of towards mom, and she's like, don't put your hands in my face. And dude's mom reached over, said, I'll put your hands in your face. And she put her hands in the lady's face. And next thing you know, fight. It looked like the Enter the Dragon. Looked like that.
Oh, shit.
They were just brawling. And then here comes my dude.
So this is like a battle royal.
Yeah, he's in the van. And they're taking apart all these people. And this all grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle. And see, the kid didn't even have anything to do with it. The parents would just lose their stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a wild time being at Gilbert Street. There were some really cool people there that had a positive impact on me being super young, and I'll never forget them. And then I moved from there. I did work at Victorville Courthouse as well, and that place was interesting too. They had a lot of fights at Victorville Courthouse.
Wow.
They had a lot of brawls. They had a lot of problems. And as a matter of fact, I think I was telling you earlier last week, they had the whole thing where they had a lot of kids come in with the tickets for the parents because the kids would get in trouble and they would write the parents a ticket, with their name, with the kids attached, and the parents would have to come to court. So, they have to miss work, they'd have to, handle this. If they didn't come, they'd get in trouble. So it wasn't just the kid, the parent would get in trouble. They were tagged in that together. So when your kid got in trouble, you were in trouble.
You were held accountable.
And a certain vice presidential candidate signed that order and pushed that agenda.
Wow.
So
you had all these people potentially losing their jobs, getting compromised because there was something their kids did.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that made things really good at home. And you would see hundreds of them. And one morning I went, and the neighbor kid that I watched grow up, he was now in high school, he's sitting on the bench. He got in trouble. And grandma and grandpa had to go in there and deal with that and pay for the ticket and however much
so
they
how
charged.
much money was that generating? That must have been like a cash cow right there.
I could tell you that you're talking hundreds of dollars in money, thousands of dollars in money, possible juvenile time with money.
Wow.
So you're talking, it's not small money.
Yeah, it adds
It's not like
up.
here's $20,
Yeah.
you got to pay, like $500, like for that ticket, that might be more. And, you got to be there at the court, you got to deal with it, and, pretty much your kid's getting ready to become a criminal, not careful, which was the sad part. And from Victorville, I moved to the favorite place, Barstow Courthouse. Oh, man. So here we go.
Barstow Courthouse, huh?
Barstow Courthouse. So here we go. So Barstow, I'm just going to say it, is the most corrupt place I've ever been in my life. Never seen anything worse than that.
That bad?
It's that bad. And it's hidden because it's a small town area. So
Yeah,
they got
you
a
don't think
perfect cloaking little thing over it, like they have their own utopia. The law enforcement runs the streets. The law enforcement runs the drugs. The law enforcement does everything down there.
Wow.
There's nothing done. They got, important people in their pocket. They run drugs. The gangs answer to them. It's a sad thing.
Wow.
It's a sad thing. And I know people that are going to watch the video are going to be like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about and this and that, or oh, I don't know. And I don't care. I was there. And I saw with my own eyes what people did and those conversations that they had.
So it was basically ran like a hierarchy with the people in power running everything that translated into the city.
I'll put it to you like this, Big Herc. the FBI would come in to go downstairs to the records office sometime on a daily basis.
That much?
They were watching these guys. These guys were taken to court several times and won. How do you beat the FBI?
Damn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they did it.
Wow.
They ran a tight ship.
Damn.
I mean, we're talking cars, money, women, whatever. These guys were in all that stuff. They had their hand in everybody's pocket.
Wow.
And they were the ones operating it. And no one has ever thought to go down there and try to end this. And if they try, they got their game wrapped so tight, they walk out with smiles on their faces. So, which leads me to, then they ended up working the mayor scandal.
So what was the mayor scandal?
Okay. So the mayor at the time basically liked the ladies, and one of the Barstow PD guys, because he did not want to play pool, their game, well, they brought her. Well, let me get to it. There was an officer who had a wife that worked there. She was kind of a floozy. That's the best way I can explain it. She'd been married to a couple police officers.
Yeah, a couple.
She was married to everybody there.
Yeah.
So this dude was married to her at the time. He sent his own wife in to have her spend some time with
the mayor?
Okay. Then she comes back and screams rape. Sexual assault charge.
Oh, shit. On the mayor?
That's how they get them.
Wow.
You don't want to play team? Guess what? Get a little drinks going. Get you guys in the room. Rape. Done deal.
Oh, shit.
So the officers that ended up doing it were talking about it over on the side in the back. And I may have been around when this discussion was happening. So what ended up happening was when they took it to court and they were looking at all the legal levels of what they were going to do with it, no one came forward on his behalf to talk about any of that stuff. Everything was hands off. Nobody showed up.
So the mayor was washed.
Yeah. But what ended up happening was I actually spoke up and said, I know. I talked to the attorney. And they said, okay. He said, now, the investigator that they had with them said, would you be willing to go on stand with the grand jury and tell your story? And I said, count me in. I'll do it. And I meant what I said. So at the time, when they finally did the trial, I had been doing investigations by that point because it had been a while before it got to that point. And it came up. I was given this subpoena to show up, and I was planning to be there. My partner and I that I did investigations with were going to be down there, and I was going to testify. Now my partner, who's a very heavy dude, he looked at me and he said, look, man, we'll go down there, but we got to have some stuff ready in the car, because when these guys find out what you're about ready to say, they're going to be around. And if you think they're going to let you make it out of that courthouse or make it back to the car, I don't think that's going to happen. And I said, you're probably right. So I had to, we had some guns in the car just in case. And we got everything ready. I said, we got everything ready? Okay, good. So I'm going to drive him down, meet him, and we'll go in together. He's got everything ready in the car. Well, I get a call 7 o'clock in the morning. The attorney says, mayor took a deal. You don't have to come.
Oh, shit.
That's what ended up happening.
Wow.
That's the mayor scandal. So
So the mayor thought he wasn't going to play by the rules, and one way or the other, he's going to play.
That's right. I believe he got probation or something like that, out of the deal, because he just said, because he was going, I'm not guilty. And then at the last minute when I got the call, he said, I'll take a deal. So they worked whatever deal they worked with them at that point. And it was...
Did you have to get the hell out of there after that?
I didn't have to go.
Oh, because they
called me.
Yeah.
They called me before I was leaving.
Wow.
And not to really flash it off, but this is the actual subpoena.
Wow.
That's what it looks like. So if you guys doubt it wasn't real, it was very real.
Damn.
And that's what ended up happening with that. So when I was working at Barstow, I actually lost the job. I got terminated because what ended up happening was the company that we worked for was doing shady business. They were pretty much having people work for them, and they were cutting their pay. And what I mean is they would have the people work, and then they didn't pay them. So some paperwork came through for some falsified documents that they wanted us to sign. My supervisor and myself refused to sign it because we're a man of honor. We don't do that, right? And because we didn't do it, then all of a sudden the attitudes changed. Then all of a sudden they sent someone down to fill in that day, and they were taking notes saying, Drew went to the bathroom for 10 minutes extra. This guy went home and stayed past his lunch by 1 minute. Like, they started trying to build a case simply because we refused to play ball with them. We didn't want to sign those documents, because you know what happens if you sign those documents and then they come back.
Yeah.
And you get taken to court. It wasn't me. Well, you signed this document, and that happens all the time. I wasn't going to sign that stuff. So the head of the company came down, who was honest, because then all of a sudden she was like, I need to see your reports. She sent a guy down to hassle us all the time. He was coming in once a week,
Wow.
Just out of the blue. I need to have the report. Well, the report's not done because the day isn't over. Well, I need that report. He was just hassling us. I was like, why are we getting so much heat? It's something to do with the documents. And what ended up happening was my supervisor, he kind of cussed out the head of the company. She called him because this dude was hounding us, and it was just driving him crazy. So he lost his stuff, man. And I was trying to keep him calm. I was like, no. And he was like, no. And he just told her. So after that, a week later, she came down right before the courthouse shut down in Barstow, and she had some papers in her hand. And what she did was, she went downstairs and she saw my head supervisor, and I was the second guy. Then she saw me. And so what she asked me was like, okay, so what happened? Well, we didn't sign the documents. Well, you want to sign the documents now? Do you want to do it this way now?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her going, no. So were you late that one day? No. Are you sure? Yeah. Well, if you don't want to play by the rules that we have right here, then here's the termination papers, already filled out.
Wow.
Here's your last check, already filled out. And I already gave Terry his, which means Terry did the same thing I did.
Although he didn't go for it either.
No, he didn't go for it either. So I signed the termination papers, and I said, what you guys are doing is bogus. And that's when it ended there. So I had been there about 5 years by that time, working for the courts, and it ended. And I think it was time for it to end. Sometimes things happen for reasons. Yeah, it ran its course, man. So it was cool. And prior to that, that's when I met my investigative partner. He came in and was working for County Conflict Panel. And he looked at me and he said, you're the guy I want to train. You're the guy I want to show everything. And I went, 20-something years old. Like, you can't find anybody else. Like, it was cool. I take it, but it's just like, why me? Out of all these people in this house, why do you want to talk to me? And he's like, you're the guy that I could train. And I said, oh. So we hung out. We got to know each other. He was great. So when this happened, I called him and I said, look, I think my next move is I'm going to join up with you. And he said, great. Start tomorrow.
Damn,
so the next morning, we went in. By the way, that company that did that, they were denying people unemployment, because at the time, this was like 2010. Mm-hmm. So it's when that, what was it, the crash happened? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was right there. So people, they weren't getting jobs. So people were having to do unemployment and figure out a game plan. Well, they were trying to deny people unemployment, and that went to court. And the judge told them this: you can't do this. This is highly illegal what you guys are doing. So they were doing illegal stuff.
They were doing all kind of scandalous stuff.
Yeah, it was bad. So it was just like that ended up happening. So I went into private investigations and started to learn the business of that. And that was interesting in itself because then you were handed cases to work on and you were dealing with these people even closer. Because before you were around them, you were kind of hanging out and getting to know them to that level, but then now you were in their business.
Now, when you're doing private investigative work,
Yeah.
I know it goes both sides, because a lot of times people are in jail, they'll hire you to try to figure out information to help vindicate them from whatever they're being accused of, and also sometimes you might be hired by the other side. So who would most likely be the ones hiring you guys to do the work to help whatever fill in the gaps in these cases?
Cool question. We work for defense.
Okay.
So we did for defense. We really didn't do cases for prosecution.
Okay.
So we did all our stuff defense.
Okay.
So we went in there working cases for defense, and man, let me tell you, when you start doing investigations,
It gets real
and
dark,
you start looking,
Rabbit hole.
yeah, because then you're looking at police officers' records, if they get into stuff. See, people don't understand that. They think, oh, this is like Columbo, this is like the Rockford
Remember,
Files.
what is it, Magnum PI or
Yeah.
Spencer for Hire?
Yes.
Old school, or Man Called Hawk, you know what I mean?
Or
You know?
Jake and the Fat Man.
Jake and the
all
Fat
that.
Man,
Yeah.
trying to figure out, because you're sitting in jail, help me, I didn't do it, and you got to try to figure out who did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand how that exactly works, because you are looking at all sorts of people. Not just, you got your police officers, you got your child molesters, you got your robbery people, you got your, just because I happen to be drunk and something happened people, you got your, oh, my son's been missing for a year, my son's been missing for 2 weeks, stuff like that. My daughter's been missing. I think she got into stripping. Can you find her? Because then you're doing child, I don't want to say child, but
Human trafficking?
Yes.
Missing people reports too. Something like somebody's been missing for X amount of time.
Yeah. You're dealing with a lot of that stuff. So all this stuff is landing on your desk. So you have people calling you all the time, bringing it, and you have lawyers, reaching out to you. My biggest case, which I will gladly share with you guys, was a triple homicide case.
Damn.
We did, and we won.
Wow.
Okay.
So you guys found some information on a triple homicide?
What happened was, the story goes like this. So the guy, it was a neighbor fight that had been going on for years. Okay, and it had gotten so bad. These guys were just hatred. Back and forth on each other. They'd fight. Oh, somebody left trash on my yard, and they'd fight over that, and they'd fist fight. I don't like you, and there's a lot of that going back and forth. And one day, 3 of the guys decided that they were going to kill one guy next door. And there was 3 guys, and there was a young lady. The young lady actually survived. So the guys jumped in his backyard one night. The dog's barking in the guy's backyard. He gets his revolver. He puts it, in his robe belt, because I think he was wearing a robe or something, if I remember right. And he goes in his backyard to see what's going on with his dogs. Well, he's standing in the dark, right? No light on or anything like that. And this random hand reaches out to touch him, and a knife in the other hand. So, of course, he panics. He shoots one person, sees 2 other running up, and shoots those 2. And there goes your 3 people. The girl doesn't go in the backyard. She's actually looking over the fence at the time. So she runs, gets out of there. The police come, and they just take the dude immediately to jail. They don't even properly book him. So he's sitting in jail. I believe, I could be wrong, I'm sorry about the time, but I think he spent at least a couple years in jail without even being convicted.
Wow.
And so until we started working and doing the trial. So up until the trial, he's just staying in jail. So it depends on who's working the case, pretty much, and how they do things.
So did he have a private attorney?
Yes, he had $1 million attorney.
That saved his ass.
Well, let's get into that. So what happened was, we were brought on to reinvestigate the entire case, because these guys went out there, did a real quick job, got this guy in jail, and then, case closed till we take it to trial.
Triple murder, that's it.
That's it. So we look into it, we figure out, did this guy actually do it? Or is there another story? Well, we find out it is a self-defense case, which was what we thought, and it was not handled properly. which was a whole other story.
Yes.
Which is, we take it, and this is going on when we're in trial, by the way, by this point. So we're in trial, and a lot of stuff is still kind of coming out.
Due process violations?
Oh, yeah. What ended up happening was, this is where it gets weird. So when the people died, San Bernardino County Sheriff CSI Department came out to get the bodies, check out everything, take photos, do their whole 9 yards, right? Well, these guys were on trial. I think they brought in about 15 of them, all suits, dresses, I have my degree in this, my degree in that. They had a professional doctor that ran his tests that supported, prosecution as well. So after that, all these professional people told their extra thick stories. The jury's going, oh, okay, yeah, they're professional, I got it, that sort of thing, But the truth of the matter was, when these guys died, and by the way, we went back out to the house several times, and we went with the blood spatter and splatter expert, the top one in all California. He was out there with us, and we were taking pictures and getting the story all straight. We did foot casting. And when we did foot casting, have you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah.
Remember when Indiana Jones and Salah look at each other and said, they're digging in the wrong hole?
Yeah.
And the Nazis are digging in the wrong hole?
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to give you that moment.
Oh, shit.
We're out there, we foot cast, we check out the area, and we go, hey, man, let me see those photos of the footprints of where they said they died. It's a boot print. Okay, look at this foot casting. Oh, shoot. The people that were killed weren't wearing shoes. So whose shoes are these?
Oh, shit.
We found out? They were the feet of every deputy sheriff department guy that was out there.
Wow.
So to make it long story short, the sheriff's department booked a triple homicide case
And
almost destroyed the evidence, and weren't even looking in the right place. They were digging in the wrong hole. They took pictures of their own shoes and sold it.
So but they found the body. They didn't have shoes on, right? When they found
Yeah, they didn't have shoes on. They didn't care.
Wow.
Dirt on feet and everything.
Wow.
They just threw the bodies in, the EMT, setup and
Damn.
The ambulance.
Something like that could have got this guy life in prison.
Exactly. That's how much they cared. And think about it. 15 people and a doctor all testified that their statements were correct and true. Oh, it doesn't end there. So the one witness, the one that they got out of the girl, she ended up, she told her story and everything. So we ended up interviewing her. We interviewed her a whole bunch of times. We took her back out to the property. We had her in the office. We videoed her. We recorded her every single time for a reason. Okay? So when this trial is going, it's going leading a little bit not so good. So the DA and the head detective take this girl in the back room and scare her and intimidate her. They go, put your mom in jail, put your dad in jail, put you in jail, put grandma in jail. We're going to make sure you got charges. You'll never see light. They'll never see light. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go on the stand and you're going to tell the story that we want you to tell. So she gets on the stand and she tells this bogus story. Nothing that she's ever told us. And that's why we did those recordings. So we were prepared ahead of time.
Just for this.
Oh, you're going to love this. Check this out. You know those 3-ring binders? Mm-hmm. We got a whole bunch of them. We literally got how many are going to be in the jury, how many are going to be in the courtroom when we made extra. We printed out and typed out all her statements, everything she ever said, everything she ever decided to tell us. We had it written out and put inside these binders. So when she did lie on the stand, all the attorney has to do is look at me, I go out, I get my partner, and we come in with the boxes with the binders. And we transferred all the video on a DVD. So we come in after she lied, bring those things in, and start handing them off to all the jury members. They start handing them off. And all they have to do is watch the screen of her standing there telling us this story, and they can just flip through the book.
Right there for them.
That's right. The judge got one too. He can just flip through it. That's right. And then you know what she does? She goes, I know I lied on the stand, but I couldn't help it. They took me in the back room. They said they would put my dad in jail. And that guy right there, he's the one that did it, and they did it. And she tells the whole story. Just slips out of her. She yells it out.
Wow.
And so the jury goes, not guilty. Now, the family of the people that were killed did not want us to do this case. We had them come down to the office, try to break into our office, try to fight us.
Damn.
Try to do everything to us. Yeah, we had to deal with that 24/7 from those guys while we were doing this. The lady, I think she was the wife of one of the people, she came up to me after it was all done, not guilty, case done. She came over to me and she yelled, "God's going to strike you dead," and pointed directly in my chest. Yeah.
Oh,
so we had to deal, that's the other side. You have to deal with that. There are times when stuff gets hot. The story's not exactly over.